You have probably heard that Vladimir Putin is worth over $200 billion. And when you consider his 20 palaces, villas and residences, his impressive stock portfolio and his luxury yachts and planes, you'd see that this number is not ludicrous. In 2014, the CIA confirmed that Putin controlled assets worth $40 billion in 2007, 12 years ago. So even if the figure isn't that high by now, there is no doubt that Putin is worth tens of billions of dollars, making him one of the richest people in the world. But how exactly did he get so much money without getting caught? Well, here's the top 3 ways that Putin makes money, and make sure to stick around till the end to find out the top 3 ways that he keeps this vast fortune hidden. Starting off, we have failed promises. When he was deputy mayor of St. Petersburg, the city was hit with a massive food shortage. In order to raise some money, a program was established in which raw materials would be sold internationally and the profits would be used to buy more food. Putin was a forerunner in this program and assured the public that they would receive tons of food. He literally promised that they would get 2,000 tons of butter and milk. Whether food actually came or not is unclear, but what was revealed by an investigation led by City Councilor Marina was that there was a $124 million disparity. Of course, Putin denied all charges and blamed other city leaders for the disparity. If that's not convincing enough, here's another example. Putin had registered an economic relations committee called 20th Trust. The government gave the company a 2.5 billion ruble or about $39 million construction project. But as you probably already guessed, construction never started. There are many accounts of such promises that fell through, making this seem like a prominent way that Putin pulled in his initial wealth. But clearly, continuously cheating the public cannot go unnoticed and is quite risky, so naturally he would quickly move away from such tactics and move into investing. And his favorite place to invest was oil businesses, as he has giant stakes in many oil companies. The US Treasury has revealed that they have evidence to tie Putin to profits from a businessman on the US sanctions list, Gennady Timchenko. This man is not only a longtime friend of Putin, but also co-owner of oil giant Gunvor, which trades almost 3% of the world's oil. It is likely that Putin has invested a lot of money into this company and fostered its growth, but this cannot be confirmed. The US government has, however, confirmed that Putin has several secret investments in the energy sector. He also doesn't just use his corrupt money in investments, he also invests using his power. For instance, Max Fredson, who is one of hundreds of exiled businessmen, told the BBC that Putin gave him the monopoly to provide oil to an airport in the 90s in exchange for a secret 4% stake in his business. So, okay, he uses power and money to make a couple of investments here and there, but how profitable could these ventures really be? The answer is unimaginably lucrative. Russia didn't have much exports under the Soviet regime, but after it collapsed from 1993 to 2015, Russia exported around 10% more each year than it imported. It is estimated that over the past 2 decades, Russia has socked away investments abroad that are equal to about 230% of their gross national income, and that's not even including any gains on those investments. Economists estimate that currently, these investments only account for 26% of the national income, so what happened to the other over 200%? Considering that the Russian gross national income is equivalent to $472 billion, 200% is equal to almost $100 trillion. Clearly, these investments have proven very fruitful, and you can bet that Putin pockets a lot of this money. Finally, the third major way Putin accumulated his wealth is by helping countries bypass sanctions. Putin has notoriously helped many countries circumvent US sanctions, with the most recent being Iran. By denying the Iranian government the ability to trade and access the international currency market, it was hoped that this would increase economic and social pressure, which could help demobilize the Islamic Revolution Guards Corps, who aim to preserve strict Islamic rule over the country. With Russia helping Iran bypass these sanctions, Russia is able to pocket a nice sum of money, as goods are no doubt sold at a premium to Iran. And it's not just Iran either. How does Kim Jong-un get his Mercedes motorcades whenever he's visiting other countries? There are international sanctions on North Korea, so there is no way that he is getting it legally. When researchers delved into the topic, they were able to discover that it came from a Russian ship owned by a wealthy Russian businessman. Now, whether Putin was involved in this is unclear. However, I doubt a rich businessman would take on this great risk without political support, as a risk would simply not be worth it to him, especially considering how rich he is. There are plenty of other Russian organizations that have been found to have ties with North Korea as well, like the Russian Financial Society. This was opened in 2003 and had just one office. It mainly provided outpayment services for small businesses and individuals. But as of December 2018, the entity had less than $600,000 in capital and less than $6 million assets, which is notoriously low for a financial institution. This rose concerns as the institution seemed to be more like a buffer account used to transfer money rather than a legitimate business. But as the US Treasury Department went deeper into the investigation, the institution's website completely went down. This is thought to be the latest discovery of Russia helping North Korea bypass sanctions. Despite this being taken down, there are definitely many more institutions involved in such shady business, as such cases are constantly surfacing. For example, just a couple of months before this, in August, the US sanctioned Agro-Soyuz Commercial Bank for carrying out transactions on behalf of Han Jung-soo, the chief representative of the Foreign Trade Bank of North Korea. So there are plenty more schemes to uncover, but in the meantime, Putin is probably making a good sum from these activities. In essence, while it cannot be confirmed, it is expected that Putin made his fortune by under-delivering on his promises and then putting that capital into lucrative investments, all while aiding other countries bypass international sanctions. So nothing too crazy, but how is he able to cover all of his footprints leaving no evidence at all? First of all, he takes advantage of shell companies. A shell company is simply a corporation with financial assets but no significant business activity. There have been several reports suggesting that money that he makes are funneled into such shell companies. Usually, funds originate from Russia passing through Cyprus onto the British Virgin Islands and the Cayman Islands. In each step of the way, several layers of anonymous shell companies are used to make it difficult to identify the true owner. Finally, after passing through 20 to 30 of these companies, the money arrives in the US, often in Wilmington, Delaware, or the UK. These countries are chosen as they have the most favorable laws for this type of activity. In fact, the US Treasury estimates that in 2015, there was $300 billion being laundered in the US. So that is how Putin is able to store his vast fortune across the globe without getting caught. But the only issue here is that it would be very tough for him to use the money without getting caught. One of the tactics he uses to get around this is receiving gifts. He most likely transfers money to companies and then takes the products he wants as gifts. This makes the company look good as they are often giving away very expensive products, and this serves as a good excuse for Putin to use such products without raising suspicion. For example, in the past, Roman Abramovich, the Chelsea football club owner, apparently gifted a 57-meter, $35 million yacht to Mr. Putin. Now, while Mr. Abramovich is worth $12.1 billion, which is obviously a huge feat, $35 million is still a huge amount, especially when you consider that most of his wealth is probably not in liquid form. Plus, I suspect that people with about 10 times more wealth than him, like Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates, wouldn't gift a $35 million yacht to the president of their home country. For instance, do you think Elon Musk would gift a yacht to the president of South Africa? Finally, Putin uses his friends and family to spread the money out. Such is the case with Russian musician Sergei Roldygin, who is quite possibly Putin's best friend. Sergei is a lifelong musician who has traveled around the world playing for many important people. Today, he's the head of music house in St. Petersburg. Now, that's all good, but you wouldn't expect him to be a businessman. In fact, he has even said that he wasn't much of a businessman. Despite this, the information revealed in the Panama Papers would suggest otherwise. The documents indicate that he is the owner of several companies, and the documents even contain his signature, or what is supposed to be his signature, as they could very well be forged. The papers also unveiled that $2 billion flowed through his companies that were used as some sort of offshore network. While he was a popular musician, it is clear that this type of money could not be made through his legitimate career. Furthermore, his companies didn't retain much money, they were just stops in an intricate network of fake businesses. It seems like Sergei was just a pawn in a network, and many of Putin's family members play much more significant roles. His closest family members not only hold the bulk of his wealth, but also help him spend it. For instance, Putin may get his uncle to use the money to buy a giant mansion under his name. Putin, as well as his uncle, when Putin isn't there, can enjoy living in this new palace. There's obviously a lot of legal nuances with that, but that is essentially what is taking place. So, Putin is able to store and use his money by using shell companies, gifts, as well as his friends and family. But all of this is just the ways that have surfaced. There may very well be undiscovered pathways used to move billions more. But here's the thing, when we have so much information about how he makes and uses his money, why has he not been convicted? Well, the obvious answer is that there is simply not enough concrete evidence, and moreover, Putin is in power right now, and it wouldn't be a wise decision to go against him, as you may very well find yourself dead. Given all of this, what do Russians think about Putin? Well, they have a very broad range of opinions on this matter. Some are outraged that the president is so wealthy using state money when a job in an office for 50,000 rubles or $800 a month is the best one can hope for. Others have simply given up, stating that it doesn't matter, I wouldn't have voted anyways, this is an election with no choice. At the same time, there are also people who don't mind Putin as their lives are running smoothly and couldn't care less about the corruption going on at the top. Putin is technically not supposed to be able to run in the 2024 election, and he may stop running altogether after his current term. But despite this, he will no doubt retain power and influence in the government even if he is not president, so he will probably not even be convicted even after his presidency. So what do you guys think about all of this? Do you guys think Putin is a cold-blooded scammer or just a nice man wanting to improve Russia? Make sure to comment that down below. Also, if you guys like this video, then make sure to drop a like and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more videos just like this one. But until then, I'm Hari, and I'll see you guys on the next one.